Okay, we are back. The solder samples are all nice and clean. And I am eventually going to throw some frame around this so they aren't ridiculously floppy. Because I think it's cool to have all these different samples. So I have Jack's Pewter Black Patina, Novacan Black Patina, and Novacan Copper Bright Patina. And I'm going to start with the copper. So I'm just going to do a little bit of patina on each of these. I don't want to put that in the frame. There we go. So I'm starting with the 6337 because that happens to be the closest. Ooh, that's pretty. Sometimes the copper patina can be super fussy and it doesn't want to actually be bright copper, but it's behaving really nicely right now. So those all turned out beautifully. Now we'll go to the 6040 because that's the next thing in front of me, and those are turning out nicely as well. Now with copper patina, I do know that time is of the essence. The longer you wait to patina your solder lines, the junkier it's going to look. It's not going to be nearly as bright. Now that one didn't take nearly as well. That's interesting. I'm covering more so you can see how weird that did when I do a close-up picture on it. But the rest of these are taking it really nice. The one that was weird was PK Metal. It looks like, I don't, can an alloy separate? I'm not sure, but it looks like it separated and there were some things that weren't taking the patina or patina if you're not in the United States, because we like to pronounce things funny here. So the 50/50s seem to be covering pretty well, minimal effort, and I'm just trying to get all over the line there. And now we're going to try it on the lead freeze and see how those go. That's a little more resistant. If you go over it a couple times though, it seems to take pretty well. Ameriway tourmaline isn't doing as well, but with a little persuasion it seems to be doing better if I go over it a little bit more. So I'm just going to go over these a few times, make sure it really has a chance to react. So patinas are a chemical reaction with the metals in the alloy, and that's what makes them change colors. The Eagle Quick Flow really does not like the copper. I mean, I'm going over it a lot, and I'm finally getting a really reddish copper look. And now it's turning gray. I'm still looking at the Eagle, and it's kind of turning gray. Mastercraft isn't really taking the copper patina very well. Yeah, some of the lead freeze, the lead freeze a little bit more difficult to get a good patina. So I'm going to relid that because the last thing I want to do is spill that all over the workplace. Now we're going to do the Novacan Black. I have to really tilt this one to get some. I'll set this back here. So I'll do the black next to it. That's nice and dark. So I prefer, if I'm just doing a patina on something where it doesn't really matter what color the finish is, I prefer the pewter black because the black is a little too stark black for me at times. Sometimes I just like it to look like it's been oxidizing over the years instead of having almost like a cartoon black outline. But sometimes, man, when you're working on something, it really calls for a black or a copper finish, and I just kind of let the piece tell me what it wants. If I'm doing a patina, I leave a lot of mine silver because I like the shiny silver solder myself, but that's just a personal preference. There's no right or wrong as far as that goes. So all of those took really well. I think the 6040 and the 6337 really took the solder nicely. The 50/50 is a little less dark, and just like the copper, the black patina, just let me pick up a little bit more just in case. The black patina on the lead free is not as super dark as it is on the others, but I wonder if I work it a little bit more. It doesn't seem to really change the more you rub it on there. I'm kind of shocked at how shiny that Mastercraft lead free is, though. It's definitely the shiniest of the bunch, I think. This is my little trash container. I always like keeping a little trash container in my work area because sometimes you just need to trim some foil off of your glass before you solder it. Oh, peel this off, it got stuck. Shove that back in there. Now, if you haven't worked much with patinas before, they are acidic. You don't want to get them on your clothes, and if you do get them on your skin, it's not going to burn a hole in you or anything really fast, but you do want to wash your hands after coming in contact with the patina. Now, this is behaving pretty much how I expected on the 6337. It's a nice pewtery black color. It's not that stark black like the black patina, but like I said, that's what we would expect for this. It's not as a noticeable difference on the 6040 side by side. The black and the patina don't look incredibly different, but the pewter is just a hair lighter than the black is. And I'm actually gonna get a new Q-tip for this. And we'll start the 50/50 pewter patina. And that's going on really nicely as well. So I'm going to not clean this the proper way for sake of instant gratification, but I will clean it up properly later. The ruby Amerway really doesn't, you have to work that patina in there for it to really take. Same with the Canfield DGS. So overall, it seems like the lead-free solders, you kind of have to work that patina in a little bit more to get a reaction than you do with the standard, I'm calling them standard, the lead-based solders. So, just really rub it in there trying to get a reaction. Ooh, Mastercraft does not want to play. There we go. Pick up a little more patina here, see if that helps. It does. It does. I'm going to go back and toss a little bit more on all these. There we go. And there we are. Everyone has a little bit of patina on there. And I'm going to, this is my flux container. I'm just putting the lid back on. And where's the lid for the, I hide it from myself, I swear. So, I'm using Sprayway glass cleaner just to kind of tidy things up a little bit, and some, in theory, lint-free paper towels. They are not. They are not actually lint-free. So I'm just going to do a little bit of spray on everybody because I'm trying to neutralize that patina so it doesn't keep reacting with the solder. Just to get that nice and cleaned off. So this is terribly exciting, watching me clean glass, I know, but it's terribly necessary. So when I clean my stained glass stuff, once I've got it soldered and once I patina it, I use CJ's Flux Remover. That's just what I've always used. Initially, when I very first started in the mid-90s, one of my girlfriends taught me. She had taken a class at a local shop, and she used, believe it or not, plaster of Paris powder. I thought it was very strange that that's what she used to clean, and she was also using a paste flux. And, you know, as an intro, I guess it worked fine. The very first thing that I made was a cute little tree ornament, and that has since fallen apart because I didn't know what the heck I was doing.
A lot better.
I've gotten much better over the years. I should hope. In approximately 20 years, I've gotten better. So let's take a look at these patinas. Looking at the copper, because that's the fussiest of all three. The copper really reacted nicely with the eagle solder right here. Doesn't look that great with a Meraway Jubilee or a Meraway Topaz. Canfield so-so. Studio Pro's pretty good. That's nice and shiny. And Victory White Metal's nice and shiny. The black has a bit of a matte finish, which I expect with my black patinas because they're usually pretty matte. And then the pewter, once it's all cleaned up, it is noticeably paler. I don't know if it shows in the video, but it's paler than the black. It definitely looks more like pewter than black, and it's shinier than the black is as well. So that might also be another reason why I prefer it over the black, because I do like a shiny finish on my glass. So that's the 6337 playing with the patinas, and I'm really interested. I find it interesting that there's a fairly noticeable difference with how the patina reacts to each of these alloys, because you would assume that they would be fairly consistent, but they are not. So looking at the copper in the 6040 samples, the PK metal, and I'll take pictures of this, it looks like there's an area, and there is definitely an area here where the patina didn't take at all. And it's a silver area, kind of dull, and it's surrounded by copper. So I'll take a really close-up picture of that to show you guys. But as far as the coppers, the rest of them, how well they took, Canfield was not good, either of them, the regular Canfield 6040 or the Quickset. The Quickset got pretty black. It's sort of like a black with a copper undertone. Same with the Fry and the Eagle. They didn't take very well. The CMP is okay, but it looks like the best of the bunch here is probably Victory White Metal. Maybe Mastercraft. Glass Pro looks really good, and Avril and Artist Pure and a Meraway are actually all fairly good as well. But none of them are nice and super bright and super shiny like the 6337s were. And that might be, maybe it needs to be worked in a little bit more. I'm not sure. Oh, let's go back to this. The black and the pewter, pretty much the same situation as the 6337, but I'm looking at this, the PK metal, because it's such a super shiny solder, the pewter patina is really nice and bright and shiny. And the black, again, it's pretty matte across the board. It's not terribly shiny. So it looks fine. I like myself some shiny solder, though. So this is our 50/50. I'm going to start with the copper patinas. The Artist Pure, that one was really a satin finish solder, but the copper is really nice and brilliant copper. The Meraway Onyx also looks pretty good. Eagle doesn't look that great. Glass Pro, Hot Max, Mastercraft, Studio Pro, they all look kind of terrible as far as copper goes. CMP's kind of on the fence, and Victory White Metal is okay. The black, pretty consistent and pretty matte across the board, and the pewter is also pretty consistent across the board. If the solder's shiny, the pewter is shiny, and if the solder is matte, obviously the pewter is pretty matte as well. And our last is the lead-free. And wow, this is the Canfield DGS. That is terrible. There's hardly any copper color there. There's a lot of silver. These I all had to work in. I had to go over it several times with the patina for it to really react. But it looks like among all of these, the best copper color is probably either the Ameriway, either of the Ameriways actually, all three of them. I forgot there's three here. So the color looks really good on all of the Ameriways in the lead-free. The Canfield Silver Gleam is nice, and it's nice and even and consistent. And then we come up to Mastercraft and the Eagle Quick Flows. They don't look good at all. There's areas that are still silver in the copper area, so the patina didn't react with something in there. And the Studio Pro and the Victory White Metal solders look pretty good. It's a nice, consistent, even copper color, so that looks really good. And then with the blacks here are actually a lot shinier than they are with the lead-based solders. So I think that's an interesting thing to note, that if you're using black patina on lead-free solder, it does turn out shinier than it does on lead-based solder. And the Ameriway Ruby, I'm seeing almost an oil slick kind of thing going on. There are some areas of it that are more blue and some areas that are kind of a brownish black. It's really interesting looking, and it did the same thing on the Ameriway Tourmaline. There's kind of a rainbow bullseye, kind of an oil slick. I don't know that that's easily reproducible, but that's an interesting thing to might kind of give you a sort of surreal, magical finish on your solder. And the rest of them look pretty consistent. The black in the black patina is a very warm black as a general rule. It's kind of a brown black. And same with the pewter. It's a warm pewter color. It doesn't have a blue undertone. It's got more of a brown undertone to it, but it's very subtle. As far as the pewter patinas go on here, it looks like they're fairly consistent. Some of them have a little bit of that rainbowy oil slick thing going on. But in general, I mean, once you get it worked in, it seems to react pretty well. So there we go. As far as the patinas go, there is actually a difference, which surprises me. It really did surprise me that there was that much of a difference. Some of them are quite shiny and quite nice in copper for the coppers, and some of them are just terrible as far as getting that nice copper color. So I hope that's been helpful to everyone. I'm going to clean up, maybe get these guys framed if I can find my capping. As some of you know, I did move fairly recently, and I finally got my studio into a workable condition, but I am still unpacking a few things. So if I can find my framing, I'll get these framed up and take some really good pictures to share some of the detail of the shine and the patina finish for everyone. Thanks a lot for watching.